I never thought I'd be writing something like this. My whole world has been turned upside down, and I'm still trying to process everything that's happened. I'm Lena, 24F, and up until a week ago, I thought I had the perfect life with my fiancé, Adam, 25M. Adam and I had been together since we were teenagers. We met in high school when I was 17 and he was 18. It was during a school fundraiser for the drama club. I was helping run a bake sale booth, and Adam came up to buy a cupcake. He fumbled with his wallet and ended up dropping all his change on the ground. As we both bent down to pick up the coins, our heads knocked together. We laughed it off, and he asked for my number instead of the cupcake. From that moment on, we were inseparable. Everyone kept telling me how lucky I was. Adam was kind, handsome, funny, and seemed like the whole package. He was the star of the school's baseball team, but he never let it go to his head. Instead, he'd spend his free time tutoring younger students in math and science. I fell hard and fast, feeling incredibly fortunate to have found someone so amazing at such a young age. Throughout our relationship, Adam always treated me with love and respect. We rarely fought, and when we did, we always managed to work things out quickly. Like the time during our senior year when I got jealous because he was spending a lot of time with his lab partner, Tessa. I confronted him about it, and instead of getting defensive, he listened to my concerns. He then invited me to join their study sessions, showing me there was nothing to worry about. It was moments like these that made me trust him completely. We supported each other through college and celebrated each other's successes. When I got accepted into my dream university for journalism, Adam was the first person I called. He showed up at my dorm an hour later with a bouquet of flowers and my favorite takeout food, even though his own college was 2 hours away. Similarly, when he landed a prestigious internship at a local engineering firm, I surprised him by organizing a small party with all our friends. After graduation, we moved in together and got engaged. Adam proposed during a weekend trip to the beach where we had our first vacation together as a couple. He recreated our first date, complete with the same flavor of ice cream we had shared and the cheesy playlist he had made for the car ride. As the sun set, he got down on one knee and asked me to spend the rest of our lives together. I said yes without hesitation, feeling like my life was falling perfectly into place. My mom, Rachel, 42F, has always been my best friend. We're incredibly close, like the real-life version of Lorelai and Rory from Gilmore Girls. My dad passed away in an accident when I was little, so it's always been just the two of us against the world. I have vague memories of my dad, his laugh, the smell of his aftershave, and how he'd swing me around in circles until I was dizzy with laughter. But mostly, I know him through the stories my mom tells. Mom was only 18 when she had me, and 20 when Dad died. She put her own dreams of becoming a teacher on hold to raise me, working multiple jobs to keep us afloat. Despite the hardships, she always made sure I felt loved and supported. She'd stay up late helping me with school projects, even after working double shifts. On weekends, we'd have movie marathons with homemade popcorn or go on adventures exploring different parts of our city. As I grew older, our relationship evolved into a friendship. We'd share clothes, gossip about boys, and later, my relationships, and confide in each other about everything. When I started dating Adam, Mom was thrilled. She'd always said he reminded her of my dad, kind, reliable, and with a goofy sense of humor that could make anyone laugh. Mom dated on and off over the years, but nothing ever really stuck. There was Tom, the accountant who was nice but painfully boring. Then came Marcus, who seemed great until we found out he was married. Each time a relationship ended, Mom would shrug it off, saying she had everything she needed with me. I always felt the mix of guilt and gratitude, happy to be so close to her, but worried that I was holding her back from finding love again. About 4 years ago, Mom dropped a bombshell on me. She was pregnant. I was shocked, to say the least. Mom was 38 at the time, and while I knew she had been casually dating someone, I hadn't even met the guy. She told me over dinner at our favorite Chinese restaurant. I remember choking on my food when she said the words "I'm pregnant." At first, I thought she was joking, but the look on her face told me she was dead serious. She was stressed and worried about having a baby at her age, especially since she'd had me when she was so young. She kept saying things like, "I'm too old for this," and what was I thinking? I could see the fear in her eyes, mixed with a hint of excitement she was trying to suppress. I decided to support her fully. After all, she had always been there for me, so it was my turn to be there for her. I went with her to doctor's appointments, helped her set up the nursery, and even organized a small baby shower with her closest friends. Throughout the pregnancy, Mom never really talked about the father. When I asked, she'd brush it off, saying he wasn't in the picture and it was better that way. I didn't push, figuring she'd tell me when she was ready. 9 months later, my little brother, Ethan, was born. I was in the delivery room, holding Mom's hand as she brought him into the world. The moment I saw him, with his tiny fingers and scrunched up face, I fell in love. He had Mom's nose and a full head of dark hair. I promised myself right then that I'd always be there for him, just like Mom had always been there for me. I helped take care of Ethan as much as I could. Late night feedings, diaper changes, babysitting when Mom needed a break, I did it all. It was exhausting but rewarding. Watching him grow and develop his own little personality was amazing. He was a happy baby, always smiling and giggling, especially when Adam was around. Adam was great with Ethan too. He'd often come over after work, bringing little gifts for Ethan or offering to babysit so Mom and I could have a girls' night. We'd take Ethan out for ice cream, to the playground, or to the pool during summer. Adam would toss Ethan in the air, making him squeal with delight, while I watched from the sidelines, imagining our future children. It all seemed so perfect. Last week, everything fell apart. Adam was out with his friends for a guys' night, something they did once a month. I was home alone, binge-watching a new crime drama series on Netflix. I'd been meaning to watch it for weeks, but hadn't found the time with work and wedding planning keeping me busy. Around midnight, my laptop died, and I was too comfortable on the couch to get up and fetch my charger. I remembered Adam had left his iPad on the coffee table, so I grabbed it. I knew his password. It was the date we first met, but I had never really used his iPad before. I always respected his privacy, just as he respected mine. As soon as I logged in, I was bombarded with message notifications. At first, I thought it might be his friends from the guys' night out, maybe planning to extend their evening. But curiosity got the better of me, and I opened them. What I saw made my blood run cold. The messages were from my mom's number, though it wasn't saved under her name. She was telling Adam that she felt guilty and that I should know the truth. Adam replied that he felt guilty too but couldn't bear to lose me. Then came the kicker. My mom said it wasn't fair for Ethan to never know his real dad, and if Adam could live having his son around while pretending to be just a brother-in-law. I couldn't believe what I was reading. My mind refused to process it at first. I scrolled through the conversation, feeling sicker by the second. There were photos of my mom pregnant, of Ethan as a newborn, and more pictures of him growing up. It was like a punch to the gut. All those times Adam had been so great with Ethan, all those moments I thought were sweet and paternal. They actually were paternal, just not in the way I had imagined. I broke down crying, unable to process the betrayal. The two people I trusted most in the world had lied to me for years. They had created a life together behind my back, all while pretending everything was normal. I thought about all the times we had been together as a family, Christmas mornings, Ethan's birthday parties, Sunday dinners. Had they been sneaking glances at each other? Sharing secret smiles over my head? The thought made me physically ill. I waited for Adam to come home, wishing I was strong enough to confront him calmly, but I couldn't hold it together. I paced the apartment, alternating between crying and feeling numb. I looked at photos of us on the walls, remembering the moments they captured, our college graduation, our engagement, holidays with my mom and Ethan. Each memory now felt tainted, like a beautiful painting that someone had thrown acid on. When Adam walked in around 11:30 p.m., I just handed him the iPad with the messages open. The color drained from his face. He looked like he might be sick. "Lena," he started, but I cut him off. I demanded an explanation: when, how, why. He didn't want to talk at first, but he knew he had no choice. Apparently, it all started a few years back when I was on a girls' trip with my college friends. We had gone to Miami for a week, a last hurrah before we all started our new jobs. Adam and my mom had dinner together, which wasn't unusual since he'd been part of the family for so long. Mom had invited him over, saying she didn't want him to be lonely while I was away. Somehow, one thing led to another, and they ended up sleeping together. They claimed to feel guilty but not guilty enough to stop. They slept together 2 or 3 more times, using the excuse of meeting up to discuss how to tell me. When my mom got pregnant, they stopped the physical relationship but decided not to tell me. Adam said he loved me too much to lose me, and my mom didn't want to lose her daughter. I was disgusted. I broke off the engagement on the spot and told Adam to get out. I couldn't bear to look at him anymore. Each word he said, each excuse he made, just twisted the knife deeper. I took off my engagement ring, the ring I had once thought was a symbol of our love and commitment, and threw it at him. After Adam left, I called my mom. She answered sleepily, clearly having been woken up by the call. When I confronted her, she broke down crying, begging me to let her explain. But I didn't want to hear it. I told her never to speak to me again and hung up. I packed a bag and moved in with my best friend, Mia, 24F. She was confused and concerned when I showed up at her door in the middle of the night, but she didn't hesitate to take me in. I broke down and told her everything. She held me as I cried, promising that she'd help me get through this. I feel terrible for Ethan. I love him so much, but I can't be around him right now. Every time I think of him, I'm reminded of all the times Adam and I talked about having kids of our own someday. We've been planning our future since we were teenagers, and now I feel sick thinking about how I was unknowingly taking care of his child with someone else. I don't know what to do now. I've lost my fiancé, my mom, and in a way, my little brother. My whole future has been ripped away from me. The life I thought I was going to have, marrying Adam, starting a family, having my mom there to help and support us, it's all gone. How do I even begin to move forward from this? I'm angry, heartbroken, and feel so betrayed by the two people I trusted most in this world. Any advice would be appreciated because right now, I feel completely lost. Update 1, it's been a week since my last post, and I wanted to give you all an update on what's been happening. First, I want to thank everyone for their supportive comments and messages. I never expected such an outpouring of kindness from strangers on the internet, but it really has helped me get through this nightmare. The past week has been a blur of emotions. I've been staying with Mia, sleeping on her couch and trying to figure out what to do next. She's been amazing, making sure I eat and listening to me when I need to talk. But I know I can't stay here forever. I need to start rebuilding my life, as daunting as that seems right now. I went back to my apartment once, to get more of my things. Adam wasn't there, thankfully. It was surreal, packing up my life into boxes. I found myself staring at photos of us, wondering how he could smile so genuinely while keeping such a massive secret. I took down the photos, packed away the gifts he'd given me over the years, and tried not to break down as I did it. Work has been a welcome distraction. I threw myself into my job at the local newspaper, taking on extra assignments and staying late at the office. My coworkers have noticed something's off, but I haven't told them what happened. I'm not ready for the pitying looks and whispered conversations. As I feared, Adam tried to confront me near my office earlier this week. I was walking to my car after work when I spotted him lingering in the parking lot. Part of me wanted to run, but I decided it was better to face him and get it over with rather than live in constant fear of when he'd show up next. He asked if we could talk, and I agreed but refused to go somewhere private like a coffee shop. We ended up having our conversation right there in the street. It wasn't crowded, but it wasn't completely deserted either, which made me feel safer. Adam apologized profusely, saying I deserved better and that he still loves me. He looked terrible, dark circles under his eyes, his clothes wrinkled like he'd been sleeping in them. Part of me felt a sick satisfaction seeing him so miserable, while another part wanted to comfort him out of habit. I hated myself for that instinct. He said he'd understand if I never wanted to see him again, but if I was willing to give him another chance, he'd go to therapy, alone, with me, or both, and work hard to regain my trust. He talked about how we could work through this, how what we had was too special to throw away. Each word felt like a mockery of the relationship I thought we had. I told him it wasn't possible. There was too much damage done. How could I ever trust him again? How could I look at him without seeing the betrayal? How could I ever be intimate with him knowing he had been with my mother? The thought alone made me nauseous. He tried to explain why he did it, but honestly, I don't think he even knows himself. He rambled about feeling flattered by my mom's attention, about one moment of weakness spiraling out of control. I asked if he had cheated with anyone else before, and he said no. I'm not sure if I believe him, but he sounded sincere. When I asked why he didn't come clean sooner, he said he panicked after the first time and realized he could lose me. He claimed he was just taking it one day at a time, not thinking about the long-term consequences. It was hard to reconcile this image of Adam, someone who could make such selfish, short-sighted decisions, with a man I thought I knew. I asked if my mom had seduced him, part of me hoping there was some explanation that would make this easier to understand. But he said it was mutual, which made me want to throw up all over again. The image of them together, both actively choosing to betray me, was almost too much to bear. Then he dropped another bombshell: he's in the process of seeking partial custody of Ethan. Apparently, this whole mess pushed him to finally step up and be a father. He said he doesn't want to be with my mom, that it was just a stupid mistake. Sure, because sleeping with your fiancé's mother 4 or 5 times is just a random thing that happens. Adam told me he had informed his parents about everything the day before. They're upset but glad to start building a relationship with their grandson. I couldn't help but think about all the times I'd spent with his family, how they had welcomed me with open arms. Now they'd have a grandchild, but not me as a daughter-in-law. Another loss to add to the growing list. He asked me to still be part of Ethan's life, saying I'm important to the little boy. It felt like a guilt trip, and I hate to admit it worked a little. I thought about Ethan, how confused he must be about why his big sister suddenly disappeared. But I still don't think I can do it, at least not right now. How could I explain to a 3-year-old why I can't be around his mom and dad? I'm furious. Before, I was mostly depressed, but now I'm filled with rage. Adam gets to move on with his life. He'll have Ethan, his parents, and probably find someone new eventually. Meanwhile, I've lost everything. My family, my future, my trust in people, it's all gone. We parted ways on bad terms. I told him never to approach me again. As for my mom, I still haven't heard directly from her, and I hope it stays that way. I don't think I could handle seeing her right now. Every time I think about her, I alternate between missing her desperately and hating her with every fiber of my being. I've been having nightmares almost every night. Sometimes I dream about walking down the aisle, only to find Adam and my mom at the altar together. Other times, I'm back in high school, watching Adam and my mom laugh together while I'm invisible. I wake up in cold sweats, feeling like I can't breathe. Mia suggested I see a therapist, and I'm considering it. The thought of unpacking all of this with a stranger is daunting, but I know I can't keep going like this. The anger and pain are eating me alive. I've decided it's time to do the blasting, as many of you suggested. Today, I'm going to contact my family and friends to let them know what happened. It's not about revenge, it's about being honest and not letting Adam and my mom control the narrative. I'm terrified of how people will react, but I can't keep carrying this secret. I'm still a mess, but I'm trying to take it one day at a time. Some days are better than others. Yesterday, I managed to go for a run and actually felt okay for a few minutes. Today, I could barely get out of bed. But I'm trying, and that has to count for something, right? Again, thank you all for your support. It means more than you know. I'll update again after I've told everyone the truth. Wish me luck. Update 2. Hello everyone. Once again, I want to express my gratitude for all the support and advice I've received. Your comments have been a source of strength for me during this difficult time. As I mentioned in my last update, I decided to go ahead with the blasting. I started by posting in my family's Facebook group, which is mainly my mom's side of the family. I spent hours drafting and redrafting the message, trying to find the right words to explain something so painful and complicated. In the end, I kept it factual and to the point, stating that my wedding to Adam was permanently cancelled because I discovered that he and my mom had a sexual relationship resulting in the birth of my little brother, Ethan. I included screenshots of messages between my mom and me from when I first found out, just to provide evidence. I knew some people might not believe me otherwise. I also made it clear that I won't be having a relationship with either of them moving forward. Hitting post was one of the hardest things I've ever done. My hand was shaking so much I almost missed the button. The response was explosive. My phone was blowing up with calls and texts all day. Most of my family was supportive and shocked. My Aunt Lisa called me in tears, saying she couldn't believe her sister would do something like this. My cousin Jack offered to come over and be there for me if I needed someone. But there were a few who remained neutral or seemed suspicious that I might have misunderstood the situation. My Uncle Dave suggested that maybe there was more to the story and that I should hear my mom out. It hurt to realize that some of my family members were more concerned about keeping the peace than acknowledging the pain I was going through. My grandparents, in particular, seemed to think there must be some explanation, which wasn't surprising given how close they are to my mom. They left a voicemail asking me to come over and talk things through, saying that surely this was all a big misunderstanding. I haven't called them back yet. I'm not sure I'm ready for that conversation. I then posted a similar message on Instagram, using the close friends feature to target our mutual friends from high school and college. This spread like wildfire through our social circle. Many were speechless, saying they never thought Adam would do something like this. Our friend group has basically split down the middle. Some of my friends are completely on my side, offering support and expressing their disgust at Adam's actions. Others are hesitant to believe it's the full story. My friend Sarah, who's known Adam since elementary school, texted me asking if I was sure I hadn't misunderstood something. It stung to realize that people I considered close friends were doubting me during one of the most painful experiences of my life. I told everyone who reached out that if they didn't believe me, they should ask Adam about his custody request for Ethan. That seemed to shut down most of the doubters. It's one thing to claim I misunderstood the situation, but it's hard to explain away a custody battle. Adam has since deleted all his social media accounts. I'm not sure if it's out of shame or to avoid the backlash, but part of me feels a grim satisfaction that he can't just pretend everything is normal. Our mutual friends have told me he's gone completely off the grid, not responding to calls or texts. His parents called me yesterday. They were kind and apologetic, but it was clear they'll be supporting their son through this. They're upset with my mom but unsure how to handle the situation with Ethan. I could hear the conflict in their voices. They've known me for years, treated me like a daughter, but now they're caught between their son and the woman they thought would be their daughter-in-law. They tried to give me information about the custody proceedings, but I shut that down quickly. I told them I don't want any information and that I need distance from all of them, especially if they're going to support Adam. It was a painful conversation. These were people I loved, who I thought would be my family. Now they're strangers, connected to me only through betrayal and heartbreak. Both Adam and my mom have been trying desperately to reach me since the blast. They've been calling and texting from different numbers, to the point where I had to put my phone on silent. It's exhausting, constantly being on guard against their attempts to contact me. My mom sent me a long text from an unknown number, and it was weird, to say the least. She accused me of being cruel and said she didn't raise me to air our dirty laundry like this. The hypocrisy of her statement was astounding. She raised me not to sleep with my daughter's fiancé, but apparently that lesson didn't stick. She claimed I didn't have the whole picture and then said something that confused me even more. Apparently, the reason she slept with Adam was that he reminded her of my dad. She said it was grief and that she didn't mean to use him to heal her pain, but she wasn't strong enough to resist. I don't even know what to make of that. Does she mean Adam looks like my dad? Or that his personality is similar? I've seen photos of my dad, and while there are some similarities, they're both white with brown hair and blue eyes. It's not like they're twins or anything. This revelation has thrown me for a loop and, despite my better judgment, makes me want to confront my mom just to understand what the hell she means. But I know engaging with her right now would only lead to more pain and confusion. I'm trying to stay strong and maintain the no contact rule I've set for myself. I'm doing a bit better emotionally. I'm not crying every hour or fantasizing about revenge, but I'm still deeply sad and upset. It feels like I'm living in some cruel joke or a bad dream that I can't wake up from. I keep expecting to wake up and find out this was all a horrible nightmare. I've started seriously considering moving to a new city or even abroad. I'm planning to take a few days off work to research job opportunities and really think about my next steps. It's terrifying, but I know I need to start moving forward. The thought of building a new life somewhere else, where nobody knows me or this story, is both frightening and appealing. Update 3. Hey everyone! It's been a while since my last update, and a lot has happened. I want to thank you all again for your continued support and advice. It's been a lifeline during this nightmare. After my last post, I took those few days off work to really think about my future. I decided that staying in my current city wasn't an option. There were too many painful memories, and the risk of running into Adam or my mom was too high. I started applying for jobs in other cities and even looked into opportunities abroad. I'm happy to say that I've accepted a job offer in a city about 300 miles away. It's a step up in my career and comes with a significant pay increase, which will help me start fresh. I'll be working as a features editor for a respected online magazine. It's the kind of job I've always dreamed of, and under different circumstances, I'd be over the moon. As it is, I'm both excited and terrified about this new chapter in my life, but I know it's the right decision. Before I left, I had one final confrontation with my mom. I know many of you advised against it, but I felt I needed closure. We met in a public park, and I brought my cousin Alex, 26F, with me for support. Seeing my mom in person after everything that had happened was surreal. She looked older somehow, worn down. Part of me wanted to hug her out of habit, while another part wanted to scream at her. My mom tried to apologize, but it felt hollow. She kept insisting that I didn't understand the whole story and that her relationship with Adam wasn't as simple as I thought. She repeated what she said in her text about Adam reminding her of my dad, but when I pressed her for details, she became evasive. It was frustrating and only reinforced my decision to cut ties. I told her that regardless of her reasons, what she and Adam did was unforgivable. I explained that I was moving away and that I didn't want any contact from her or Adam in the future. She cried and begged me to reconsider, saying that Ethan needed his big sister, but I stood firm. It was hard, watching her break down like that, but I knew I had to prioritize my own healing. As for Ethan, that's been the hardest part of all this. I love that little boy so much, and the thought of not being in his life breaks my heart. But I know that staying in contact with him would mean having to deal with my mom and Adam, and I'm just not ready for that. Maybe someday, when he's older, I'll be able to explain everything to him. For now, I've written him a letter that I've asked my aunt to give him when he's old enough to understand. In it, I tried to explain how much I love him and that my leaving has nothing to do with him. Adam made one last attempt to contact me before I left. He sent a long email, again apologizing and asking for another chance. He said he started therapy and is working on becoming a better person. He also mentioned that he and my mom have agreed on a custody arrangement for Ethan. I didn't respond to the email, but I did forward it to my lawyer, just in case it becomes relevant in the future. I'm writing this from my new apartment in my new city. It's small and a bit empty right now, but it's mine, and it represents a fresh start. I've started therapy to help me process everything that's happened, and I'm slowly beginning to heal. It's a long road ahead, but for the first time in weeks, I feel a glimmer of hope. I know the road ahead won't be easy. I still have moments where the pain and betrayal feel overwhelming. But I'm taking it one day at a time, focusing on building a new life for myself. I'm trying to rediscover who I am outside of my relationship with Adam and my role as a daughter and sister. It's scary, but also liberating in a way I didn't expect. Thank you all for being there for me throughout this nightmare. Your support has meant more than you could ever know. I may not update again for a while, but please know that your kindness has helped me find the strength to move forward. Here's to new beginnings and healing.